It's easy to feel the weight of the world on our shoulders, especially this year. Sometimes we feel like we need some sort of escape, and maybe we can't physically get that escape, but maybe we need a mental escape. A place without politics, without violence, without negativity, without disease. Stuff that we see on the news every day. It's in the palm of our hands, even on our phones that we use. It's hard to escape this world sometimes. My guest today discusses his escape in the world of art. Craola Simkins is not only just an artist, but he is also an incredible father. He talks to me about how he's able to mentally get out of this world whenever he is able to work on a new art project. He talks to me about how he's able to bond with his kids over their art projects and skating. Greg is truly a talented artist and a very down-to-earth family man. Make sure that you take time to check out Greg's YouTube page when you have a free minute and give him a follow across all social media platforms. I see you're watching this episode of Parent Quest on YouTube. If you are on the road during your commute to work, if you're working on a project, if you're just trying to relax, you can also listen to Parent Quest on your favorite podcast app. Just go ahead and search for Parent Quest on there. So, without further ado, here is Greg Craola Simkins. How's your day been?
Oh, it's been pretty good. Pretty mellow. Got a little bit of work done, but yeah. How about you?
Kind of busy. Worked all day at the hospital, and got home at 5, and wife had dinner on the table, and
nice.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
I am in Huntington, West Virginia.
Oh, you're in West Virginia. Okay.
Yeah. So, pretty laid back here. Not lots of crowds and people, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, we got the opposite over here. It's way too crowded over here. It's like trying to find pockets to hang out without too many people around.
So where exactly are you?
I'm in Torrance, California, which is about 30 minutes south of Los Angeles.
Okay.
So really close to LA. We're just in the beach cities over here.
Okay, so I was out in LA like 8 years ago. My wife's uncle lives right in Studio City.
Okay.
I've always thought that I wanted to live there growing up. Like I thought, oh, it's sweet. I love to skateboard, surf, all that stuff. And like I go and visit there, and I think I'm all right, not living right in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I've never lived right in the heart of it. I've always been in the suburbs, kind of outskirts.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm so close that like I spent a lot of time there. I've worked a lot.
Yeah.
There, I used to work in downtown LA and all that kind of stuff. So, and I've done a lot of graffiti down there. So it's just been part of my life being by the city. It's kind of be hard for me to leave it because there's like so many job opportunities and stuff that just pop up right there.
Yeah.
There in Hollywood.
I guess you would say that's pretty much your home then, being that close to it. All right. So, Greg, why don't you just give me kind of a brief background of, what you do? What's your history in art? Where did you get your start? Is it something that you've been doing since a kid, or is it something that you picked up as a teenager later in life? Or
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, my name's Greg Craola Simkins, and the Craola in there is actually my graffiti name. I spell it without the Y, and I started doing graffiti when I was 17 years old because I had a huge interest in art since I was a little kid. And some kids in my classroom noticed my drawings and said, "Why don't you do this stuff?" And they showed me the book, Subway Art, which got me so inspired that I went out and stole the spray cans out of my dad's garage and started spray painting everywhere around here. And I haven't stopped creating ever since. I'm 45 now, so it's been a long life of just making art.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Has your dad, was he kind of freaking out at the first moment, like he noticed that his cans were gone, or?
Yeah, they weren't too stoked at first, but they quickly caught on to what I was doing. And my dad built me a wall in the backyard thinking it was going to keep me from going out on the streets. It was like a 16-foot wall. And it just helped me get better. So when I did go out on the streets, I did cooler stuff. So it was it kind of backfired on him a little bit. But he eventually started building my canvases and panels for me to paint on, and did that for many years for me. So it was kind of like a bonding thing too.
So when was the transition from the streets to actual gallery?
I did my very first. Everybody says how long I've been painting, and I always have to tell them I started painting with spray paint first, because I was just drawing before that, pencil, pen, markers, you name it. And it wasn't, maybe, gosh, I was spray painting for many years before I picked up a paintbrush. And it was through guys in my crew that were painting with acrylics that said, "Why aren't you using these, brushes and paint?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Mm-hmm.
And so they kind of pushed me into it. And it's now been like probably close to 25 years. 24 years I've been painting with acrylics. And just, trial and error, and listening to people's advice how to do it. I went to art school also, but I didn't learn how to paint per se. I learned, like life drawing and illustration, stuff. I was an illustration major, switched to studio art, but for some reason didn't take painting classes when I was at school. It was all drawing and concept stuff. So when I started painting, I'm going to learn this. I got really focused and just pushed myself, made tons of mistakes, but had a lot of fun, and I'm still making mistakes and learning, today.
It's probably the only way you can learn, just trial by error.
Yeah, that's all it's been.
With COVID going on right now, I mean, how has that affected your career? Has it changed it much? Are you able
It's changed aspects of it. Like, I'm still painting just as much. The sad thing is we had to cancel my solo shows. I usually do a solo show in Los Angeles each year, or show in other places around the country or even the world. And it just doesn't look like things are opening up and looking good for having gallery shows. But for some reason, I just as busy painting, and the online stores going crazy. I think the minute quarantine started and things locked down, people started going online more and looking at stuff and buying art books and prints and stuff. So we've been really busy over here, but it's sad to see the state of the world. Like, I used to, when my shows would have lines around the block and like tons of people come out. And so it's like that aspect I miss, but I want to make sure the world gets better before I start throwing shows like that again.
It's probably a little disheartening for you, I'm sure.
I miss people. I'm a people person, but it's like, and now I have to be like, all inward
right
here. And like, we have our little bubbles of people, but still, it gets a little sad.
So how does this virtual tour work out? I mean, it's something new for you. Is it?
No, we don't really so much do it as like a virtual like tour. Like, I basically, if I'm doing paintings, then we're showing to, clients. A lot of times I'm just working on commissions and stuff right now, and just dealing with clients and doing some personal work, which we will share with some people. And it's just, for me, I'm really enjoying editing my video. I film when I paint, so I have a YouTube channel, and I'll edit my paintings and put them up on my YouTube channel still. So that's a little outlet and a way to share my artwork with people as well.
What processes in your head and comes out on canvas is like, I don't even know how you come up with some of the ideas that you come up with in your artwork. It's awesome. It is super, super cool just to see how it comes together like that. Has that been something that you've been working with more now since we're dealing with, pandemic? Have you been kind of giving more attention to your YouTube channel?
Yeah, I have been giving more attention to my YouTube channel. Like, I definitely film everything I paint with the purpose of just making that video to share with people. I know people are stuck inside watching YouTube and shows, so I'm trying to create content that they can kind of take them out of this world and take a break, escape. I had a show a few years ago called The Escape Artist, and the whole idea in mind is like, when I'm painting and creating these worlds, it's my escape. It's the way I kind of check out. I don't want to hear politics. I don't want to hear all this depressing shit. I want to just kind of get into something interesting and fun and go down a rabbit hole, live in Wonderland for a while. So I like to share that with people as much as I can through my art.
Yeah. I think everybody kind of needs that kind of escape.
Yeah.
It's nice. And I mean, some people have it through, watching TV in the evenings. I like to play video games quite a bit. And like it steps you out of what we're living in right now and the stresses of this world, and kind of lets you just not think about anything that's irritating or, just life itself.
Yeah, nothing too depressing. I'm trying to step away out of that stuff. I know a lot of people like to paint about politics or paint about current events. And just like that, I'll let them do that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
keep going into Oz and wherever my brain goes.
Thinking about you while you're painting, do you have like a set like you need to have a certain environment to get the ideas out? Do you have certain type of music playing, or do you have, um, just certain vibes that you have to have in the room while you're painting or outside?
Yeah, it all changes. If I'm creating, a lot of times I'll go for walks, like long, just listening to podcasts, listening to music, or even audiobooks. Just try to get inspired. A lot of times, a lot of my shows come together just walking along the beach down here and just checking out the waves, what the birds are doing, all that kind
Mhm.
of stuff. And then my mind just starts going, and I have to sit down and I write notes on my iPhone in
Right.
my
Yeah.
notes app. I have so many notes and storylines, and it usually starts with little stories or phrases.
Hmm.
And then I come home and I just open up my little sketchbook and I just start sketching thumbnails, little drawings and ideas and composition notes on how I want to see things flow, or like color schemes and stuff like that. I just try to attach it to the storybook notes.
Yeah, I use notes a lot too, and it's probably one of the best things that's happened to cell phones. I think cell phones kind of break up society a little bit in a way,
Yeah,
how much people are spending on social media. But just a short story and a little irritating. I had all my notes saved for like it's probably about 5 years worth of notes that I had saved on my
yeah.
phone, and I upgraded my phone at the
Oh no.
store, and they
Yeah.
transferred everything. And I went in there and started looking at my notes, and they were all gone, just deleted.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I've been trying to make the habit of saving to the cloud, or I don't know, backing up a different way, but
I email them to myself maybe every couple months. Just
that's
it's the same notes, but they'll be updated. So at least they're in my email and my
that's
Gmail
smart.
someplace.
Yeah, that's really smart. I probably should start doing that. I've been using Google Docs lately. Oh, love that. Um,
Nice. Yeah, I
for
have
all
a huge fear of losing all that stuff. There's
that.
so many gems in there. I'm just like, oh, can't lose that one. I gotta send it.
You find yourself ever just kind of like looking back, like going through old files of notes and stuff, and maybe coming up with ideas for today for artwork? Or
All the time.
okay,
That's usually like, especially if I'm going to start a show, I go through all my files and folders of all the previous sketches I drew, that
hmm
ones I didn't get to for a show, and then I read through my notes. And
okay,
that's basically where I get going, because there's like show title ideas. There's like so many things that I've never been able to approach yet because there's just no time.
mm,
So there's ideas for days, but not enough time to paint them all and do them all.
yeah. You're a family man also, so
Yeah.
has your artwork influenced your kids into wanting to do artwork, or they kind of branching off into different hobbies themselves right now?
They both enjoy art. They don't do it all the time, but when they do, they get into it. Like my older son is just the other night just started going, "I'm going to make skateboard graphics." I'm like, "Cool. How are you going to do it?" And he just starts cutting up paper, wrapping them with cellophane, drawing on transfer on tracing paper, like almost like stained glass looking
Mhm.
images. Like he did one of like a chessboard night, and he's overlaying them and then taping it and stapling it. I'm like, that's pretty crazy. That looks cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, and he's just getting real creative. He's always drawn like comic book characters and written stories for them.
Mhm.
And my little guy, we had started a whole sketchbook together at the beginning of the quarantine where he would draw something and then I would draw what he drew, then he would redraw what I drew. And we just filled up this book full of us like having drawing battles. So he's 8, and I really love his art. I was teaching him 1 point perspective, so he can do his the first letter of his name Everett. He'll do an E in like a big block letter, and then draw all the 3D lines to a point. And I showed him where to cut it, so it looked like a 3D letter.
Mhm.
And then he got all excited, and he just started drawing all these shapes, and it's just pages of like 1 point perspective drawings. So he's very analytical. That one, he's very precise, very mathematical. And my oldest son is wild and out there, and he's got this crazy imagination. So it's fun to see they both create art in different ways. And they don't always, it's not like they always do it because dad does it either. A lot of times, like, oh, yeah, it's just dad's what dad does. So,
Yeah.
but that's fine too, whatever they're into.
That's pretty awesome. I feel like that book is going to be something that's cherished within your family forever. I mean,
Yeah,
that book of artwork dedicated or book dedicated to artwork during the time of COVID.
right.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been fun to draw with him too. It's just fun to connect with them that way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how does it make you feel whenever you see them kind of falling in love with the thing that you fell in love with as a kid?
Oh, I get stoked. It's like, oh my gosh, he's into this. Cool. How can I, back you up into how can I support you with this?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then, I don't want to overstep it. I don't want it to seem like a chore. Like I did give my oldest kid a job during the summer. He needed some work to do. So I had him photographing all my drawings in my flat files for my next book.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all right, here you go, dude. Make some money. And he sat there going, whoa, you drew all these? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you could be sitting here drawing too. You have this whole studio full of everything in the world that you could want to mess around with. Like last night, he was putting another skateboard together for a friend, and he's like, oh, can I spray paint something? I'm like, go ahead. So we went outside, threw some cardboard down, went into my spray paint cabinet, and he just pulled colors. And I'm like, you have all this stuff here all the time. You can make stuff. Mm-hmm. So he was super stoked.
Do you ever worry about him kind of going out and spraying up the town a little bit too? Like
all the time. Are you kidding? Oh my gosh.
I feel like as a dad, like if that were my kid's situation, like, yeah, I understand the feelings that you feel about wanting to go out and do that. But as a parent, the parent side of you is probably like, I don't know if I really want you doing that.
Yeah, it's a really sticky situation because I know I did a lot of that, but I don't really go out that much anymore. And especially, I try to get permission while these days I don't want to end up in jail and having a family and having to support them and all that kind of stuff. I do get that itch though, and it does need scratching sometimes. But I know I wouldn't want him out there getting in trouble. And but it's such a tricky thing. Like the main answer is no. I don't want him going out there. Doing that. So I know if my friends are listening to this, they're like, "Nah, man, you went out and did that." But I'm like, sorry guys, I'm trying to. Raise this kid to be first of all, I want him to be respectful of others and to be kind and all that kind of stuff. And both kids are doing pretty good so far. They're sweet kids, but I do see if any of them are doing it, it's my oldest kid. He's going to be that one that's going to just be like, oh, I'm going to dip out.
I feel like you as a dad though could kind of sympathize with him too as well. Be like, I know what you're going through. I know what what you want to do. I totally get that. Do they know that about your early years?
Does. Okay. It's in my book. It's in both of them. But I wrote an essay in my last one, and I caught him when I went in his room. And he's putting some under his covers. I'm like, "What are you hiding? What are you hiding? Are you looking at some magazines?" He's like, "No." And he was reading my book, and I was like, "Oh, you're just." He's like, "Oh," he's like, "You used to ride on the freeway." I'm like, "Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's in there. Maybe." Should have waited a couple of years before he reads about that kind of stuff. But I'm mostly known for doing productions and nice clean murals and or mostly just painting canvases. So I don't think he's gonna. I don't know. He knows a lot of my friends too who are still in that world, and he was telling me, my favorite graffiti artist is. I'm who? It's gonna be your pop, right? It's like, no, Scholar. I'm like, oh man, Scholar's awesome though, so that's fine. But I'm not even on his top 10 list. So,
is there ways to go about doing that without getting in trouble? Could you something like you mentioned your son putting a skateboard together? I assume he skateboards.
Yeah. That's pretty much he's all consumed with. I woke up this morning. We go to the skate park early because there's hardly anybody there. Yeah. So we'll get up at 6:30 and go. So that's awesome. A few times a week.
Could skate parks out there are a dime a dozen?
Yeah, we got 2 that we pretty much go to over here. Yeah. I know there's a lot more, but I don't feel like driving that far either.
Could you? Is it this city owned or is it private owned?
I think it's city owned.
Well, I was wondering if you could approach the city and be like, do you mind if I spray paint this bowl, or do you mind if I do something?
They won't let us. They wouldn't let us. No. We have plenty of walls. I got plenty of places. If I want to go paint, I could paint. I got friends with walls, and downtown LA or East LA. Hey, we got walls. Come paint. Yeah. Okay. It's mostly just a time thing these days, and being home to make sure I'm to cook and help with all the parenting stuff, and then plus I have tons of paintings I have to get finished. So it's mostly on me. I could just call up, one of my buddies and say, "Hey, you got any walls?" And they'd be like, "Sure, come down and paint."
That's cool.
So there's a lot of permission walls we've got. There's still that itch to kind of do that one wall that you probably will get seen and people go, "How do they do that?" But I'm freaking too old, really.
Yeah.
Get down on too much of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, man, that's cool though. I really didn't know how that worked out as far as being able to do it publicly like that. So that's neat that you have connections that way, being able to.
I mean, there would be ways we could do public stuff, but the stuff I want to do, which is like lettering and stuff, if I'm painting walls, I usually would just rather do lettering, like my big letters, than like what I do on canvas. And when they hit me up, because I got hit up to do, stuff like Hermosa Beach or whatever, they look at my work on canvas and go, "Oh yeah, we want that." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not going to paint that on your wall. I want to do this on a wall." And they're like, "We don't so much want like graffiti stuff." I'm like, "Okay, well then maybe it's not a good pairing." So I like to keep my canvases, because my canvases can take months and months, especially on big ones.
Yeah.
So on a big wall, I just haven't, there have been instances I've been able to do some nice murals and stuff without letters, but I just really like doing that. So I try to just get myself those situations.
Yeah. That's really cool. I see the painting behind you there. Is that a current project that you're working on? Is it finished?
Just finished it the other day.
How long did that take?
A few weeks on this one, probably
Okay.
close to a month. And it's going off to Denmark pretty soon.
Okay, yeah, that is pretty awesome for listeners. From what I can see, it's was it a squid with?
It's a mushroom. It's a morel mushroom octopus.
Pretty rad. How'd you come up with the idea of doing that?
I'm working with a collector in Denmark. We talked back and forth about elements that he was into, and he had previously purchased my. Did you see the lime octopus I did holding the Corona beer, and it says "Enjoy Craola" instead of Corona? It was my coronavirus painting that was inspired when this whole thing started. I did a big giant lime octopus holding a bottle of Corona beer, and it's called Reunited. So it's like you can't wait till this thing's over and they can get back together and have a backyard party. So he owns that, and then he's like, "Oh, I want to get a couple more octopuses." I'm like, "Okay, cool," because I paint a lot of octopuses, and octopuses is okay. It doesn't have to be octopi. I looked it up. And so I do various, like they're like hybrid with like fruits or vegetables or like different creatures. I've just been painting them for years. So this is one of the ones, and we just talked about what we're going to do and what kind of elements he wanted included. And I drew this one up and then painted it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Your artwork is gorgeous. I love the big style artwork that you do. I mean, I couldn't imagine seeing that in person. I'm sure it's just like that. I would be mesmerized.
That's what I miss about the shows, because if
Yeah.
there's like a 9-foot painting on the wall, you feel like you're in the world. It's not
Kind of
like
get lost in it.
Yeah, it's like you see it online. It's like, that's cool. That's why I'm trying to do the YouTube videos, because it's kind of like another step past just seeing a picture on a screen.
Yeah.
And I just want people to be able to stand in front of these giant pieces again. That's my heart's. That's what I want the most. But
yeah. So I'd say this all comes and goes. I mean, it'd be nice if coronavirus was done tomorrow, but maybe relatively soon.
Yeah.
Do you have plans to do maybe like a post-COVID gallery show or?
I will. I definitely will. Like when this stuff's done. Yeah. I still love doing that stuff.
Well, Greg, I don't want to keep you too much longer. Where can people listen to you, or not listen to you, but like see your work and I guess they can listen to you on YouTube now as well.
Yeah, YouTube's good. It's Greg Simkins Art on YouTube. My website's gregsimkinsart.com. My Instagram is @Craola, and that's pretty active on there. And that's probably the main ones. Yeah. I also wanted to say I listened to your podcast with Steve Cavallero. That was awesome. Yeah, he's Thanks, a friend of mine. So I was super stoked that you interviewed him. I'm like, this is super cool. We'll get to hear about his cab salad. I remember I used to text him like, "What are you making?" Or he used to text me smoothie recipes. He's got good smoothie recipes too. So
yeah, he's a lot of fun to talk to. I feel like the process getting him on, it's just a lot of going back and forth as far as trying to get people to meet up together. And I'm not like knocking him or anything at all. Obviously, we're just busy schedule, and I completely understand that. But I wanted to commend your wife for how prompt she is as far as getting emailing. Like that is truly, truly awesome that you have her help.
Yeah, she does all that. Yeah, it's like people try to contact me and I'm like either working or I forget to check my email and I'm like, oh crap, or people go into my DMs on Instagram. I usually don't see them.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh man, I'm a mess when it comes to organization. But she's the opposite. She's like super organized.
Yeah.
So She makes my life perfect.
I plan on having a cab salad one of these days. I saw that a local restaurant around him is starting to sell them prepackaged, so that's pretty rad.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Thank you, Greg, so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to chat with me here on Parent Quest. It was truly an honor being able to pick at your brain and get to know you as an artist and as well as a father. I truly appreciate that. Thank you so much. And you viewers, you can head on over to Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, search Greg Craola Simkins, and you can go ahead and give him a follow and a like on those platforms. You can check out his artwork at www.gregsimkinsart.com, and also on YouTube, Greg Simkins Art, to check out his videos that he's been putting out. You don't want to miss those videos. They are fantastic. As for Parent Quest, you can head on over to Twitter at Parent Quest Pod. You can head over to Instagram, parent_quest, and you can head over to Facebook, Parent Quest, and give those platforms a follow. Obviously, I'm here on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe to that. And I also stream on Twitch as well. Just search Parent Quest for that, and you'll see that I am up weekly on Twitch doing Let's Plays, also doing videos of me editing videos for the podcast and audio for the podcast as well. Again, I thank you so much, and I can officially say that this week's episode has been completed.